In today's video, we're talking about critique partners. There's lots of videos about where you find them, what they are, proper etiquette. But what I want to talk about is how do you handle their feedback? What do you do with it? What's the process? I'm going to go through step by step how I work with critique partners to get the most out of the feedback without driving myself crazy in the process. Because with a critique partner, you have to swap manuscripts. You're reading theirs, they're reading yours. So it can be a little complicated sometimes. So stay tuned after the break and I'll let you know my process. Hello fellow writers and readers. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle Winkler and I'm an indie author in training. On my video channel, I talk about my publishing journey, self-publishing journey, and the mistakes I've made so that hopefully you don't have to make them too. I want to start with a little mini announcement. I have my 3-year author anniversary coming up February 27th. What does that mean exactly? Well, I started writing Dust on the Altar and didn't realize I was going to publish it, but then February 27th of 2017, I think, is that 3 years? I don't do math. I decided, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to self-publish it and we'll see how I do. And so that's the day that I made my Twitter account, and that's how I know when I decided to become an author. So I'm really excited to celebrate it. I want to thank all of my followers who have followed me on Twitter or here or any of my social media accounts. Without you, I'd be standing here talking to myself. So I thank you so much, and I want to know, what questions do you have for me about my writing journey or publishing journey? What feedback do you have for me, or what videos do you want to see in the future? Let me know all these in the comments or message me on any of my social media accounts. Between now and the 19th, because I'm going on vacation just after that, but between now and the 19th, I will be looking at all the comments to see what I can do. Maybe I'll do a video answering all your questions. Maybe I'll start putting out sneak peeks of my book again. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what your thoughts are. It's been 3 years and I've learned so much, and I want to share everything I can with you. So critique partners, this is part 3 in my indie author in training video series. If you missed the first 2, don't worry, I'll link them in the cards. You can go back and check them out. But this one is talking about, what do you do when you find a critique partner? Someone who wants to swap manuscripts with you. It can be kind of complicated. It can be a little overwhelming at times. So we're going to go through my process step by step. First thing, I suggest you save a copy of your work in progress, a master copy somewhere. In the cloud and on a hard drive somewhere. It's going to go through a lot of changes during this process, and there may be bits that get lost along the way that you can't rewrite. It just never comes out the same. And so by having that master copy, you can always go back and find those bits again. So then you want to make sure that you and your critique partner agree on all the details. Things that you're going to want to look at are, how many chapters, pages, or words will you trade at one time? What format will those chapters be in? When will you be expected to finish each section? And what kind of feedback do they need and do you need? The number of chapters and pages is very important. Some people want the whole book at once, others just want a few chapters. For me, I get very overwhelmed if I get the whole book at once. That happened to me once and I feel horrible about it, but I had to drop out. I couldn't do it. And now I've learned that if I do about maybe 2 or 3 chapters, depending on the word count, that's perfect. It's long enough I can get into the story, but not so long that I get overwhelmed. I can finish that within a day or 2 usually. The format the chapters will be in is also really important. Some people just want to use Word and track changes feature on Word, which is great. But if that's not what you're used to, it can be difficult. So make sure you both agree. I like Google Docs. It's very similar to Word, but at least as far as I know, you have a lot more control on it. I can put it on my Google Drive, send a link to one specific person and set it so they can't download it or they can't actually type in the document. At least I feel like I have more control over it on Google Docs than I do with Microsoft Word. With Microsoft Word, I'm just shipping off a document, and who knows. Also with Google Docs, you can go on there if they're like, well, I have to take a break for a few days, but I made some comments. Oh, great. You can go on there and see what they've already said. So I love Google Docs. I can go into more how I use Google Docs on another video if you want. Let me know in the comments. Just a quick note, there's other things besides Word and Google Docs. You can do just email, especially if it's short, if you just want feedback on a few scenes, you can do email. You can do in PDF files. I've seen a lot of people do that. It's up to you, whatever works for both you and your critique partner. So once I've made the agreement with my critique partner on all the details, I make a tracking document. And I made a video about my tracking document showing you how I use it and what it all entails, and I'll link that in the description. But basically, if you have it all written down, I mean, life gets busy. You may have to take a break for a couple weeks, and when you come back, you can't remember what's going on. So it helps you remember what's happening and keep track of everything. Okay, so you got your first chapter out of the way. You both want to continue. Everything's all fine and dandy. How do you handle the feedback? How do you handle read someone else's book while you're supposed to be editing yours? See, that's the first step. I don't edit until they're completely done and I'm completely done. I do some steps in the meantime, but I don't actually go in and start editing, because then my brain is all in editing mode on my story and I want to focus on my story. And it's going to be hard for me to really pay attention to theirs and give them the attention it deserves. Also, I found that there's too much comparison going on. Like, you'll read something of theirs and you're like, oh yeah, I should do that in mine. And then you want to start doing it in yours. No. Focus on their book and wait till they're done and wait till you're done with theirs. And then you can go ahead and start editing. Now, that being said, there are steps I take to keep the feedback fresh and to allow any new ideas that I get for editing my book to not get lost. So I make another tracking spreadsheet. I know, I love spreadsheets. So, I'll probably do a video on that in detail. But let's just say I have a tracking spreadsheet. As they finish each chapter, I will go ahead and read through or download it first to my computer. And then I'll read through their comments, and as I'm reading through, I'll have my tracking software open, or tracking document, spreadsheet, whatever open. If I read a comment, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Sometimes I'll write it down if I'm like not really sure, but I decide not to. I'll still write down that comment and where it is, because maybe I'll decide later, yeah, that was a good idea. And then the next comment, oh, that's a really good idea, I should do that. Oh, I have an idea how. So I'll go ahead and write down the comment, what chapter it's in. Oh, and if I have an idea for how to fix it, I'll go ahead and write that down too. Next one. I don't actually make any changes. I mean, if I see one little typo, I'll go ahead and do that. But no major changes really until, like I said, we're both done. That way, as you go, you'll have this list. You don't have to obsess about editing, because you know that's future me's problem. I got this list I can give her and she can get the job done. Now, once we're both done, I'll go ahead and start editing. And I use my tracking software. I go line by line, and I do have them categorized into different types of edits, because you don't want to start fixing the typos, then go to do major scene changes and you just deleted all the typos you fixed and you wasted all that time. But I can do another video about that if you want. Let me know in the comments on how I use the tracking software for edits and in what order I edit things. But let's just say I go through one at a time. While I'm doing this, I keep that tracking software, or I keep calling it software, that program open, so that if I'm working on something, instead of stopping what I'm doing and going and fixing that, I'll just mark it on my tracking software, go back to what I'm doing. That way I won't forget it, but it doesn't distract me from what I'm doing. I used to go in circles. I'd be working on one thing, oh, I gotta go do that. And I go to another part of the document, work on, oh no, wait, but that fixes it. And I'd get so confused, so twisted up. It was like I was in a swamp of spaghetti depression and I couldn't get out. So this is how I fix that. And it's really helped me a lot. Once I've gotten through all of the revisions listed on the spreadsheet, I go through it one more time, and then it's off to betas, finally. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope I haven't breezed over anything. If I have, let me know. like this video if you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, dislike it. I want to know. And leave a note in the comments of a question you have for me, a video you want to see me do in the future, any feedback for me, anything you want. I'm making this video on the 27th. Well, it'll go up on the 27th. So I'd like to have all the comments I'm going to include by the 19th. And I will give you a shout out if I use your comment. And I guess that's it. Oh, sign up for my monthly newsletter. It's available on my website. Link is below. This month's was kind of late because I had a lot of migraines, but usually by the first of the month, I will have a new newsletter go out. And between now and when I publish in October, I'm going to have a short story featuring one of the main characters from my book, Dust on the Altar. So sign up for that so you can get a sneak peek into the characters. If you're new here and you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing and ring the bell, and you'll be notified every time I upload. It's usually once a week on Sundays, and I'm on Twitter and Facebook daily, pretty much, at mwinklerbooks. And I guess that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time.